Hello, everybody. Welcome to another video of Reinaldo chess lesson. Today, we are going to analyze a game that I play against another YouTuber. His name is Nelson. He's a national master from United States. Actually, his rating in the United States Chess Federation is about 2,200. I believe that probably his FIDE rating, comparing with the FIDE rating, probably his rating should be more because I have a lot of students from United States rating, and I used to do the comparison with some players with FIDE rating, and I think there is a gap between two valorations. So probably the pool of points in the United States Chess Federation is harder to get. But okay, let's start with the game. We did this game as a collaboration in order to publish this in the YouTube channel for all the viewers. So this was a rapid game, well, 10 minutes game without increment. Initially, we were talking about play 10 plus 5, but we have some trouble. Well, really, I have a trouble before the game because I couldn't see his challenge, and later I couldn't set the challenge properly. So the game was very interesting, pretty balanced, but we got the moment where we were under big time pressure, and at that moment, the quality of the game decreased a lot, for sure, because you have to play just without increment. But let's start with this. The national master Nelson opened the game with e4, and I decided to play very solid for this match. For that reason, I went for, well, I was planifying the Petrov defense against knight f3, but this was a big surprise for me. Sometimes you have on mind play something solid, and suddenly these kind of situations happens. After a gambit in move number 2, there is basically nothing that you can do. You have to accept the challenge of a very dynamic game. Here I went for this variant d5, that in any gambit, doesn't matter the gambit. I used to say that the way to counteract the gambit is with the central reaction with d5. This happens in any kind of gambits: King's Gambit, Vienna Gambit, Danish Gambit, Ivan's Gambit, whatever. So sooner or later, d5 is a move that is necessary to do. So in this case, Black can do that immediately, so why not? The name of this counter gambit is the Falber counter gambit. So he took on d5, now I push the pawn to e4. So with this temporal pawn sacrifice, the idea is that with the advance of the pawn, the f3 square is under control and he cannot develop the pieces in a normal way. This position is theoretical. Okay, he did d3. And now here, knight f6 to defend the pawn. In this position, he did knight c3. At this moment, there is a theoretical variant that scored very well for white, that is the capture of the pawn on e4. And thinking about the move, it's very logical because one of the ideas of the Falber counter gambit is keep the f3 square under control to prevent the normal development of the pieces. So in the game, he went for knight c3, but in my personal opinion, I think that this variant is a critical variant because after this, finally, white can develop the knight to this square. But those kind of variants are really very specific because in this position now, the bishop can come to c5, creating some intersection points on f2, and really looks a bit scary. So here, white can continue with queen e2, creating a pin, blocking the bishop. So really, it's something not too intuitive that you need to know very well to go for a variant like this one. So probably knight c3 move, here, knight c3 move is a practical move. That the idea is more or less the same because adding new pressure on the pawn on e4, if white managed to get rid of the pawn, eventually the f3 square will be available. So all is about the fight for the control of this central square. So I continue developing, pinning the knight, indirect defense of the e4 square, and now ready to castle. So he took, enabling the f3 square for the knight, and now I capture on e4 with the knight, increasing the pressure on c3. He continued with queen d4, and this is a family four because with the queen that is usually the knight do the 4, but in this case, the queen is attacking 3 pieces at the same time. But black have enough resource to keep everything defended due to the advantage in development. So the capture on c3, trading a bishop for the knight, but creating double pawns and now short castle. So the knight cannot be captured because there is a pin. Here, finally, okay, he did knight f3. That was all the idea of the pressure on e4, enable again the that natural location for the knight. And now rook e8, preparing some discovering attacks. So bishop e3, more development, using the bishop as a shell to prevent any discovering attack. And here, well, this is probably, yeah, I would say the first moment of the game where, I start to think a lot, about how to continue because, okay, I knew that I have advantage in development, so I should try to play in the most possible active way before he managed to coordinate his pieces. So for that reason, I went for this forced variant that is a bit controversial because, okay, with c5, I am trying to kick the initiative. So he took game pass down and I recaptured with more development. But when we are leading in development, really, we would like to kick the queens on the board in order to attack. The downside of this variant is that, okay, I can accelerate development, but in other hand, he can trade queens, decreasing really any chance to create a successful attack in the center of the board. So he trade queens with good criteria, and here I can recapture with the knight or with the rook, with the less valuable pieces used to be the best, and would be interesting to kick the pressure with the rook along the open file, but I decide that, well, the knight is already there. It's not a nice location for the knight because really it's under control by the pawn. So really that was a difficult decision for me, but I decided to keep really just to follow what looks better, in a first glance, that is the capture with the rook. So here he did bishop d4 in order to protect the pawn, and also the pawn protect the bishop. This is known as fortress strategy. Everything defended. Looks like he's losing the bishop pair, but really he have an extra pawn. A possible compensation that I have is the damage in the structure. So if I capture right now the bishop pair, he can reorganize the pawn structure. For that reason, I continue with more development, because even despite that right now we are in the endgame because there is no queens on the board, it's still very important, the connection of the rooks. So he did bishop d3. Here is very interesting to see how he create this fortress here in the center, because he have the bishop pair. This structure is not too good, but really the two bishops are very well centralized. If I want really to capture one of them, I have to allow the reorganization of the structure. So the position is not easy to play. I did this to create a second damage in the pawn structure, and now I come back to d6. Really, this move is not too good according to the engine valorization. Here, the stockfish like the capture on d4, but I was worried about the capture on e4 attacking the pawn on b7 as well. So in a rapid game, really, you would like to, if what you calculate is not too clear, you would like just to kick the tension in order to keep the position more complex. So moving the knight back, okay, well, I am blocking the rook, but I can kick the pieces on the board. So rook g1, intersection rook to the open file, and attacking on g7. So I have to play g6, and here he play f5. So the owner of the bishop pair should try to open the position, usually with central pawn breaks, but in this case, he's doing this rupture in the expanded center. Yeah, he is getting rid of one of the weaknesses in the position. So in this position, white have a clear advantage. So knight takes on d4. Finally, here, really, I did the move because I couldn't find, something useful to do. So I went for this forced continuation in order to try to create some targets on d4. So rook a, c8, rook to the open file, pawn takes on g6. I took with the lateral pawn towards the center, and now king d2. This move is clever. In the endgame, really, you want your king close to the center of the board. Seems to be that the king is in the far line of the rook, but really the king can support the pawn and is centralized. So it's a very good location. And here I did 98. trying to reroute my knight, probably looking for those squares, placing my knight in front of the most advanced pawn of the opponent, even despite he can remove the knight from that location, but from this, I can probably jump to other place to try to create some complications because I have material disadvantage at the moment and probably positional disadvantage as well. So c3, knight f6, rook a b1, attacking on b7, b6, and now h4. So the way how the national master is playing is very instructive because with the bishop, he's looking for those rupture points in both plans to try to open new lines, open the diagonals, the files for the rook. So very strong game. I moved the king out of the far lane of the rook, also electric move against the rupture point incoming. And now he did the same, winning a lot of space and initiative in the other flank as well. So here I was under big pressure. I was spending a lot of time. Here in this analyzed board, we cannot see the time management, but in the video that the National Master record in his channel, that I'm going to add the link in the description of the video, he did the analysis in the chess.com platform, and there you can see the time management. So really here, this is move 24 in a 10 minutes game, no increment. So here we were playing with few time really. So still the level is quite acceptable. So 95, attacking on c3, rook b3 to protect the pawn, knight f4. Really about this move, this is a very random move. Okay, it's just okay. Looks like I am chasing the bishop, but probably I want just to speculate with this and this because in these two locations, the knight may be the by pawns from behind, and at least I will not leave the pieces hanging. Also, the knight on f4 is in that square. So yeah, under time pressure, you have to play practical and look for move that may be very easy to understand, at least without leave something hanging. So he did bishop a6, attacking the rook, and now rook c6. As this pawn is incoming, I wanted to place my rook on the 6th rank to give support to be able to recapture and kick the b pawn defended. So rook g4 attacking the knight. Now rook f6, preparing possible pressure on the pawn on f3. Bishop b7, defending the pawn. And now knight e6. So here looks like, okay, I don't have the really finally. Jumping here looks very good. So bishop e4. I took that location, but really everything is under control. Here, if I capture the bishop, I can connect his pawns again. So I just moved my king. He did king e3, moving the king out of the fire line. Here I did knight e6, moving the knight back. And finally, he get the rook to point to try to activate the rook. So I don't want to allow the opening of that file because it will be active. So I did b5. And now he pushed this pawn to a6. Basically, the idea of those kind of advance, because when I push the pawn, eventually I would like to protect my pawn with another pawn with a6. But really, this way to protect the pawn in this particular position is very risky because eventually the pawn on a6 will be fixed by the pawn on a5, and that may be a target in the long term. So but this is a positional pattern really because the a pawn for white is isolated anyway. So really with the advance, he can kick those pawns disconnected. Also, he created an output on b7 for the bishop in order to, under time pressure, is very good have the pieces. Always is good have the pieces defended by pawns from behind, but in this particular position, especially for bullet and crazy time controls, is even more useful, okay, than in comparison with other situations. So knight c7 to protect the pawn. Okay, bishop b7, some checks, random checks. Okay, rook e4, rook to the corner, looking for some counterplay in the other flank. So d5, takes. And here, okay, the position right now is absolutely here I did a mistake capturing this pawn because after e5, d6 is incoming and there is nothing that I can do. So, but, at this moment we were on the maximum time pressure, so he moved the king. I did some random checks here. Okay, and well, about this check, this check is a big blunder because he can just capture the knight. Really, for some reason, I was thinking in checks on f5, thinking that he cannot capture the knight due to the control of the rook along the file. I mixed things on my mind, and I just jumped there, like would be the f5 square. And well, here we were playing with seconds, basically. So I will show you the rest of the move without too many comments. Here I am losing on the spot. I just left my pieces hanging, but okay, few seconds on the clock, so it's more about do random things. So, a lot of simplifications, and here, yeah, it's just about do some move to avoid lose by time. And as soon as I noticed that I have few seconds on the clock, very few seconds, like I don't know, probably less than 5 seconds, I decide just to push only one pieces. It doesn't matter if I lose all the material, but just to avoid lose again. And here, well, the final position is absolutely winning for Nelson, the national master from United States. So really, well, the quality of the game at the end uh, really is like a bullet game and everything can happen. But I would say that a fair result for this game will be the draw because really the game was very balanced during all the time. So I won the game by time, but really the final position I was completely losing here. Well, as I comment to you in the description of the video, I'm going to leave the link of the YouTube channel of the National Master. In his channel, you can see the same game commented. So it will be good if you check that in order to compare, the comments, the different vision of the game, the ideas. Really, his comments are exceptional. Also, check his material. The content of the channel is amazing. He have a lot of interesting videos about the Scandinavian defense. I have a lot of students that are using that defense. So if you are interested in the Portuguese variation, Iceland Gambit, and all those things, really Nelson is a specialist in all those variants. So I am very sure that you will enjoy his content. So please follow him, like, subscribe, and share his videos. So I hope you enjoy the analysis of the game. I'm going to coordinate a second one, probably with different colors and trying to set a more decent time control with some increments. So hope to see you soon in a new video. Take care. Bye.